What's up guys, it's Awilda here. Thank you so much for joining me. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title of the description, we're going to be working on our ceiling once again, adding some insulation, some drywall, and then eventually painting the ceiling. So if you like that type of video, just keep watching. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for joining me. If you like the type of videos I share, which is DIY, home decor, some intermittent home renovation projects, as well as some cleaning motivation, then definitely hit the subscribe button and also click on that notification bell so that you won't miss a video in the future. So jumping right into the video, here we have Harvey cutting down some insulation, but before he did that, he made sure to measure the section that he's going to be insulating, and we have to do it by section because of the wood pieces that we have in between the joists. Some of you may notice that the insulation are two different colors, and that's because when we were using the insulation pieces, we only ordered enough to get started, and it was from, I believe it was from Lowe's the first time, and we ran out of insulation, so we had to stop the project and head on over to Lowe's, but Lowe's didn't have any more insulation, which is the R13s, and so we had to head on over to Home Depot and get the insulation from there. And that's why there's two different color insulations. They're both the exact same insulation type, which is the R13, but just you have different colors for their branding. So a few days after we added the insulation, Harvey was back at it, adding some drywall to the ceiling. As you can see here, we purchased this red drywall lift. Reason why is because to have drywall over your shoulders is super painful and tiresome. To be honest, that's something I could not help him do. So in order for him to be able to add the drywall to the ceiling, we decided to make the investment and purchase this drywall lift. Now, a disclaimer is we purchased ours because we have other projects in the future that we're going to be working on, like our laundry room, the family room, and the garage, and we are going to be needing the drywall for that. If not, we would definitely just rented it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the rental fee is the same as purchasing it, but with the rental, obviously you give it back if you don't need it, whereas the purchase price, we bought it, and now it's going to be part of our arsenal for future projects. So right now Harvey is adding some drywall screws to the ceiling to help hold the drywall in place. He's just doing the outer edges at first, and then he's creating a chalk line using this little chalk tool. I don't know what it's called, but it's a little chalk tool that he's using to help create a straight line from one side to the other so that he can add more screws to the ceiling. Because when you're adding drywall to the ceiling, you have to make sure it is 100% secure so it doesn't fall over your heads while you're sitting there enjoying your time out with your family. I'll go with you all the way to the moon, if you're keeping it together too. Sometimes it feels like I'm just dancing on the border. Tethered without you, I would be lost around the corners. Steady, but only as long as I get you there to hold me. And I got you there to hold me. Never stop calling like magic. You're lifting off the shade from my mood. I'm keeping it together for you.
So here I am. I have the joint compound mixed up. You want to get it to the consistency of something less like whipped cream, or that whipped topping actually. So that way it's smooth, and you want to keep it moist in the mud pan. Don't put too much, but put enough so that way you don't have to keep getting up and down the ladder. So you want to keep it clean, the sides of the bucket, because as you're going in, it's just going to dry up. Putting it on the ceiling, you want to put enough on there to cover the holes, but not overdo it, because you don't want to sand too much of this stuff later, and you can actually sand it down with something that like a moist sponge and stuff like that. So the idea is here to cover the holes, and you'll come back it's not going to get it all done in one pass. So you want to put some up in here, and on these larger spots you put some tape to hold it, because joint compound, just like anything, will crack. So you just want to put something in there so that way it does its movement back and forth, because you're going to build the material up on here. The idea is to get something that looks like it's cracked, and in the end it's nice and smooth, or it's close to smooth as possible.
Like Harvey mentioned before, once the ceiling is dry, you can go in with a wet sponge or a damp sponge and just smooth out any uneven surfaces, and then reapply any parts that need more of the compound. We decided to add some crown molding because the ceiling did not meet all the way into the wall, and we didn't want to have a gap there. So here we're just adding some crown molding to make it look a little more finished. So I wanted to show you really quickly what we're doing here, because our boards are, I believe they were 8 feet long, and the ceiling itself is about 12 feet wide or long. So we need about another 4 or 2 feet here, because this board here wasn't long enough. And so what Harvey's doing here at the very end, as you can tell, is he is cutting it in an angle, and then he's going to take the other board and cut it at an angle and kind of sandwich it in between, so that area there kind of will become one part, and he's going to nail it through and finish off the rest of the ceiling. And then we're going to take some wood putty and fill up all the holes where the nails are, and fill that out, and then basically paint the ceiling after that. Yeah, so here he is adding the other piece of the crown molding. It's basically just a 1x4 that we decided to get. It is in the Home Depot's wood section, and basically we added that just to give it a finishing look. I absolutely love it. I think it looks amazing. It makes the back patio look a lot more nicer. So I do recommend that if you need some sort of crown molding, this is a very inexpensive way to hide any imperfections.
Yeah, so this is a finished nailer. This is probably like 20 years old or something like that. And as you can see, it does angled, so when you got to get into a tight corner, you can get into that tight corner because of the way the angle is, the way it's straight up like that. So if you wanted to get in someplace tight, you don't have to worry about trying to get like this. You can finish into a corner. That's the whole idea why it's in an angle. And it does nails from 1 inch to 2.5 inches, and they're 15 gauge nails that it does. And what I'm using here just to get through and make sure I got enough bite is a 2-inch finish nail. Okay? And it's got a safety thing, so it won't go up. I'm not gonna put my finger in there, but it's got rubber on there so it doesn't mar the stuff. And then as you can see, you pull the trigger, it doesn't go off. Okay?
Once we were done adding the 1x4s, we then proceeded to fill the nails with wood putty just to hide the nail holes, and then waited for them to dry, sanded them down. And we also used some caulking. I believe this one's a latex type of caulk, and basically we just used a caulking gun and filled up the gaps between the wall and the 1x4s. So I just wanted to show you quickly what product we used to fill the gaps between the wall and the 1x4s, which is just from Adapt product. I do recommend this. It is actually super helpful. We've been using it for years, and I believe this is one of the ones that we had previously used in a previous project, and it worked out very well. So really quickly, I wanted to show you here, as best as possible, this trick that we learned. Actually, Harvey learned this trick a long time ago, and then he was teaching me. So I wanted to share this information with you in case you didn't know. But basically, when you're adding the caulk with this caulk gun, you put your finger at the tip of the nozzle, and then as you are slowly pumping the product out, the silicone, you basically just wipe your finger along with it, giving you nice, smooth, clean lines instead of having the product go everywhere. So when we get to the end of the board here, instead of going all the way to the corner, what we did was instead Harvey just went from the corner and met the rest of the caulk that he already had. So that way you don't have to worry about forcing your way to an awkward angle. You can just start from one corner towards the middle, start from the other end to the middle. And here I just want to show you really quickly that we are not adding any of the 1x4 here. We're leaving this as is because in a future project we are going to be changing this part of the wall. We're not too sure what we're going to do, but we just didn't want to have to add board for something we're going to be removing in a few months anyway. So just to show you really quickly that if you don't want to have any board on your ceiling and you want to add just the silicone, you can do that, and it would just kind of smooth it out and even everything out, looking perfectly blended, as long as it's not a huge gap. So the next day, after everything was dry and sealed and puttied, I went on and decided to paint the trim and the ceiling. Here I started off with the trim. I'm just taking some regular white paint from Home Depot, something we've had a bunch of. It's basically Polar Bear white. You can get that anywhere in Home Depot. I am going to be posting a link down in the description box so you can see the materials we used, but yeah, it's just basically Polar Bear white. And I had some leftover paint that I used from previous projects in my house, and decided to continue with the Polar Bear white throughout the entire house. So I am alternating between a brush and a roller. I just find it a lot easier to cover more of the area with that. So in some more detailed, intricate spots, I use the paintbrush, and then in other areas where I can cover more of the area itself, I use the roller, and basically painted the whole thing quickly, well, as quickly as you can. This is sped up like 8 times, but it took me a few hours in between coats to let it dry, and that was it. We are finally at the home stretch. We are now at the end where I am painting the ceiling. This is just regular ceiling paint, some white ceiling paint. I'm not sure the name of it. Again, it's from Home Depot. We bought a giant gallon and just used it throughout the entire house. I had plenty of it left over to do the ceiling, which made me super happy because I didn't have to make the run over to Home Depot. And here I am hustling my little butt around trying to get the ceiling painted as quickly as possible. It's a little hard to tell because since the ceiling is primed white, and then I'm going through with a white ceiling paint. And yeah, so it's a little hard to see. So I had to kind of work quickly. And to be honest, it was really, really hot this day. I believe it was in the 90s, and I had the windows open, I had a fan out, and I was sweating my butt off. But I am super happy to get this done and to move on to the next project, which is going to be adding the ceiling fan and then adding the flooring. We have made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for supporting me. If you did make it to the end of this video, please leave me a popcorn emoji so that I know that people are watching all the way to the end. It just makes it so exciting and fun to know who's watching and for how long they've watched. Also, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and also click that notification bell so that you'll be notified of future videos I post. I love sharing motivational videos that help people and inspire people to get things done in their home, whether it be a home project, cleaning, organizing, or DIYs. So definitely hit the subscribe button and also click that notification bell. Thank you all so much for watching. God bless, and I'll see you all on the next video. Bye.